My son, my third oldest, was 8 then. He asked me if I was going to be fat forever while I was eating a blue cupcake.
I'm so excited to be here. I can't even control my emotions right now. I'm here with one of my gym motivations. I've been observing her for so long, and it finds out that it's been like, I'm so grateful I met her. I'm here with Maria Redmond. Welcome home.
Thank
Welcome to this
you.
episode. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's really an honor.
Little honor's mine. Look at me. I'm so excited. I can't even talk right now.
Well, you pretend like we're in the gym talking like normal.
Well, I have to pretend, but actually I can't. I'm
You
all
can't.
popping around. I'm going to start jumping right
I know.
now.
It's really a pleasure. I'm happy to be here and have this conversation with you and your fans and followers and really just get into the meat of some of these good questions that you have for me.
Of course,
Yes.
no, like there's a million of questions I'd like to make to you, but like one that caught my attention, I wouldn't have guessed in a million years. And I know you don't ask this to a woman, but how old are you?
52.
And she
Yeah.
says it's so sad because
I'm 50. I love it.
yeah,
Yes.
no.
I'm very I think when you get into your late 40s and you start to kind of shift and change and you don't really care, it starts at 40 and then you really stop caring what people think. But then by the time your late 40s come, if you've really taken care of yourself, which I've really taken care of myself, you become very proud to say, hey, I'm 40, whatever. And then when you hit 50 and you still look good. So I tell people, I'm like, I have no problem saying I'm 52. Yeah.
You know, that's amazing. And also behind this beautiful person, the finest person I've ever met so far,
Yeah.
there's a whole story that you couldn't have guessed. First of all, I didn't know you were an ex football player,
Yes,
professional.
football player, women's professional league. Yes,
You're an IFBB pro.
I'm an IFB pro.
You are right now doing your competitions for triathlon.
Yep,
You're a nurse.
I'm a nurse. That's right, former nurse. Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God! So
And I'm a nerd, so I'm also a software engineer. I got that degree some years back. I'm really nerdy.
and you're a coach helping women in
Yes.
those hard times where we're like concerned about menopause and all
Right.
those hormones that are coming.
Yes, that's been my biggest thing right now is really trying to get women that are going through perimenopause, which starts at typically around age 35, 36,
Yeah.
and goes right into about the mid 40s before menopause starts to begin. That is a very hard space for women to get in shape. And I don't think that, well, for years it's been overlooked. A lot of the science that's out there is really in regards to men. There's really not a lot of science for us in that age bracket and what's really happening to our bodies. And so that's kind of the space that I've really been trying to focus on, and also getting women to not concede to aging, right? And that's another reason why I'm not afraid to tell my age, because I want women in our age bracket to know that we don't have to just say, oh, now I'm a mom and a wife and oh, I'm on the back burner. Prioritize yourself and your health so that you can still feel and look the way that you want to look.
And I know you mean it and you understand it, because to become who you are right now, you went through a lot of stuff.
I did.
And let me tell this, like you come from a place where you were overweight, like 60 kilos overweight, which would be
Correct.
140
Correct. 45 pounds, right.
So tell me, how and at what age did that start to click and say, oh my God, I need to change my life?
So my journey was a little bit different from most. When I was younger, I was always big. I was always a heavy kid. I ran cross country, which is long distance running. I played all the sports when I was a little girl. Elementary, middle school, I did all the sports, basketball, volleyball, you name it. High school, I lettered, which is, when you're a good athlete, you get a letter. And I played softball, basketball, ran track, short and long distance. I was on the water polo team and the dive team. I was escaping, trying to not be home. My home life was very rough. So anything that I could do to keep me away from home, I was doing. But I was always big. Um, and I think because I was an athlete, even though I was heavy, I didn't really feel like I was fat. I knew I was overweight, but I could function. I could still do things and do them well. I wonder how much better I would have been if I had lost weight then. So by the time I got into my late 30s, I'm playing football And I played for 3 seasons. So in 2008, I was retiring. My mom was sick with Lou Gehrig's disease, and I needed to take care of her. So I retired. And at my retirement party, my son, my third oldest, was 8 then. He asked me if I was going to be fat forever while I was eating a blue cupcake.
Oh my God, that's a game changer.
I still can feel, every time I say it, I still feel the feeling I got when he was like, "Are you going to be fat forever?" Right as I was about to bite it. And everyone kind of just looked, and I was like, huh. I bit the cupcake and I said, "I'm not fat." And he goes, mm. And I was like, oh boy. So that's kind of what started it. It was on my mind that whole night. I went home, I cried about it actually. And it still, I said, okay, I've got to fix this problem, but it wasn't for me. I wanted my kids to have a better perception of me, and I'm their mom. So they're going to follow what mom does. And if I'm not teaching them to take care of their body,
Who else?
right, who's going to do it, right? And so it became this thing of I might be setting them up for failure, to struggle. My girls will be struggling with their weight when they become a grown woman. I didn't want that for them. So I'm a little crazy, right? So I'm like, when I want to do something, I'm like all in. I'm like going all in. So I told my husband at the time, I said, I want to go on a journey. I want to lose some weight. I said, and I want a year to do it. And I said, however much I lose in the year, that's what I want to do it. I need you to allow me time to do it. And I think that that was the most important thing I could ever have said. And I want to share that with all of the women. If you have a significant other, boyfriend, or whatever, girlfriend, whomever, you need to tell them when you're going on this journey that you need time to do it. And so what that meant was for me, for my husband to know that I'm not going to be home when I go to the gym, right? I'm going to do my duties as a wife and a mom, but I need to be at the gym. And for however long I'm at the gym, don't call me, don't text me, don't bother me. I need my space. And he allowed me that space. And I'm so grateful because I was in the gym sometimes 3 hours a day. I would work out with a trainer for 2 hours and then do an hour of cardio, and sometimes four, because you know how the gym gets, right? You're there longer than you're supposed to be. So I did that, and I started with my trainer, and then he started training me on powerlifting. So I was going to do that first, and I was really good, but then my frame just kept getting tinier and tinier, and I went back to school during that time too to get my dietetics degree because I knew I needed to understand food.
What you were doing
What I was
exactly.
doing with nutrition. So I knew that it couldn't just be you train and eat whatever you want. So I went back to school. I learned all about that. And by the next year, I'd lost 146 pounds.
So it took you a year to lose that.
A year, but I went fanatical. Like I went crazy. So once I started learning the different nutritional protocols, I started implementing them, and I was very strict. My poor kids.
And what was your struggle during that? Because I know, like, when you're starting, even though like you're committed, like that little change, how did you put your mindset and said, I'm definitely here?
So I won't lie. I make it sound simple, but it was not. The road was very, very bumpy. There was a lot of self-doubt, a lot of being stuck to the old ways, right?
Yes.
So every time that I would hit a stumbling block, I'm a pretty rational person, and I wish most people were like this. I would sit down and analyze and say, okay, I know I'm messing up right here, but why am I doing it? Right? Am I really hungry? Am I cheating on the diet? Let's say that's one of the issues for the week. Am I cheating on the diet because I was really hungry? Most times it was no. It was just that maybe I was thinking I was missing some sort of fun, you know? But then when you eat it, you're miserable, right? It's not fun at all.
Doesn't get better.
It doesn't get any better. So I started really like sitting down and analyzing what's really happening here. Like, why am I cheating? And really the end result was I was scared of what the new thing would be. Like I felt like I was going to be losing something if I got fit. And I think it took me a minute to come to it. And I think that a lot of people don't realize, like, well, what does fit really mean? Because if you think about it, it seems like so much sacrifice, and it really is. And maybe we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to sacrifice that much, but I really do want to look good. But what are you missing, right? Like you're not missing anything. So I did a lot of journaling during that time, a lot of writing, like why am I feeling this way? What can I do when I get the urge to eat something? Let me find something else constructive to do. Read or go for a walk, whatever. I would find different things to do to get over those humps.
That's amazing. And once you got to the goal of 1 year and losing all those extra pounds that you wanted to lose, so what lightened up in that moment that said, okay, I want to be an athlete. I'm going to be an athlete and I'm doing it?
That happened by happenstance. So I was going to be doing the powerlifting, and I was squatting one day, and my back started to hurt, and my coach said, I don't know, maybe let's look at something different. So he brings this picture of a fitness magazine, Oxygen magazine, and that's how old I am. Those magazines.
Well, there's still a
There's still a
thing.
few. So Oxygen magazine, this beautiful woman was on the cover, Monica Brandt, and she had on heels and a nice sparkly one-piece suit. And it's one piece. That's before the two pieces.
Oh, so that really changed.
Yeah, that's really right. Yeah, that changed. It was just one suit, and I remember looking at it, and I looked at her shoes, and I said, "Those look like stripper shoes."
Ah, stripper shoes.
I was like, "I don't think I can do that." And he's like, "It's not stripper." He's like, "Trust me, I think you should." He said, "There's a South Carolina States coming up." I lived in North Carolina at the time, and he said, "I think we should do it." And he talked me into it, and so I said, "Okay, fine." So we prepped for that, and I won my first show.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So you were on point.
I was on point. Well,
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 I want to hear that.
Not really. No. I look back at the pictures now. My suit was purple. I was like, oh, so I just look like a thin Barney.
Oh my God. I don't think so. You have to show us that picture.
I look at all the other girls and I'm like, so I was basically just the skinnier of all the rest of the girls is what happened. We were all not really in that best of shape. So it wasn't really, there was really no muscle to be found. It was, I look back all the time and laugh like, ooh, they should have given me a sticky note that said try again. It's really what we all should have gotten. But nevertheless, but I fell in love with the process of prep. And I realized that it wasn't about the stage. For me, I like the process of being able to peel back the layers of who I am as a person and find out new things about myself every week, right? Like all my strengths and my weaknesses. And prep will do that to you because you will be on doing cardio some days crying for no reason, not even realizing you can just stop the machine and get off if you want.
You're there. You're doing
good. You're so
classes, cardio,
committed. Right. You just keep going. You even bump it up a couple notches.
I want to be
here. Right. It's the weirdest thing. But so I fell in love with the process. And that's kind of was the light bulb moment for me. And in doing well, then
of course, winning your first show,
winning my first show, that's a lot.
Yes.
But then it became a thing where I noticed other women my age starting to say, hey, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you were able to get in shape and do this, because there weren't as many women in my age group really doing it. It was a lot of younger girls, right? So that what they call masters now, there are so many women not even trying to attempt, to get in that shape. If they weren't already in the sport and aging into that, trying to get started at that age was almost like unheard of.
No, even right now it's hard.
Yes.
I mean, you see masters 35 plus, 45
Yes.
plus, but of course, and like if you look back when you started, like bodybuilding wasn't as popular.
It wasn't as popular, right?
Yeah, no.
Right.
So definitely you were like a unicorn back
Yes,
there.
yeah. And when I started competing, I mean, women's physique didn't even exist.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, no, there definitely was no wellness. Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
definitely. It has been evolving throughout the years.
Evolved,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So when did you turn pro, and how do you put your mindset and said, okay, I'm continuing, because it's great to win the first time.
Yes.
What made you think, okay, I want to do this?
So my beginning, my amateur career was actually pretty bumpy. I won that first figure show, and then you expect to do really well the next one, and I came in like 8th place at the next one, and that was very debilitating to me, because I was really sold into the process. And then I said, well, what was my feedback from the judges, and it was always, "Oh, your legs are too big," right? So back then they liked everyone so streamlined, right?
Okay.
And it's so weird how it looks nowadays because
Yeah, no,
I'm
now you
like,
gotta have the
yeah, I'm
legs.
like, what happened? I was great then, right? So very streamlined. I wasn't as streamlined, and so that was a lot of the feedback. So I was constantly trying to make myself even smaller and smaller and smaller. And then I started, placing higher in shows, second, third, and winning a couple more. Won quite a few amateur shows. And then I went on this little bit of a kick of I wanted to do fitness. And those are the girls who do the flipping routine.
Yes, the ones that are
Yeah.
dancing and.
So mind you, I don't have any gymnastics.
Okay, no, now this is getting more interesting because that's even
So
harder.
I've done all of the categories, by the way, except for bodybuilding. So I said, well, as an amateur, I really didn't care about going pro. I was in an age where I didn't think I was going to ever turn pro because a lot of people in the beginning said, it takes a long time to turn pro. You probably never turn pro. And so I
there
was like,
weren't as much opportunities as there are right now.
right, there wasn't. Right, you needed to place first or second, period,
and that's it.
And that was it.
And not many shows.
Not many shows. So I said, well, before I even try it, that I want to see what it feels like to be a fitness girl. And I had a very great fitness career starting in 2010 to about 2013. I did a lot of fitness shows. I won quite a few fitness shows, which was really great. I learned the moves off of YouTube.
Of YouTube? You didn't even have a coach for that?
Not yet.
Oh.
I wanted to see if I could just mimic the strength hold, the mandatories that you had to have in every routine, because I'm 5'10". That's really tall for a fitness girl.
It is.
It almost doesn't exist. So after I learned the strength holds from YouTube, I put together with a girl who did fitness in a different federation. I put together a routine with her. Her name was Celia, just because I was going to go hire this coach named Jen Hendershot, which was Miss Olympia for fitness for a long time.
Wow.
She lived like 2.5 hours away from me. So I learned it. Celia helps me put together what I thought was a stellar routine. Y'all, I thought this routine was mwah. Okay, I really thought I nailed it. Called Jen Hendershot. She agreed to see me. I drove 2.5 hours to her place in Greensboro, North Carolina. And she said, all right, let me see what you've got. Well, first she looked at me. She said, you're really tall, huh? She goes, do you have any fitness gymnastics background? I said, no. She goes, oh, this ought to be interesting. She was very matter of fact. And I was like, oh boy. So I put my music on. I do my routine.
I want to hear this.
I finished it, guys, and I really thought I had nailed it because I was like, oh, that was bad. That was it. It was good. And she was like, that looked like shit.
Oh my God, no way.
And I was like, what happened? She goes, that was horrible. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, I know what. There's no harm in trying. She goes, but you did all of the strength moves. She goes, we can choreograph a routine.
Okay, good.
You can do the move. She says, I'm impressed at how strong you are and can do the strength moves at your height and the flips. I'm impressed. She said, well, what show do you want to do? This is the kicker, because I like to do hard, almost impossible things. I said, oh, the show's in 7 weeks. Like, no big deal. She said, 7 weeks? I said,
yeah, of course.
Totally can pull it together in 7 weeks. See what I did with YouTube in a week.
Exactly. I'm ready.
Totally can do this. Sometimes it's good to just have an open mind, right?
No, it's great. It's what kicks you
because,
out.
And you don't put limitations. And so she goes, okay, 7 weeks, you have to be here every day, all day. Mind you, she's 2 hours away from where I live.
Holy, okay.
So I would get up every day at 4:30, drive to her so I can be there by 6:37. I'd eat my first meal with her. We'd do a warm-up. We would train, weight training. Then we'd start this horrible process that I went through for 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
Routine learning, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. No mats on the floor, so I'm plow on the hard floor in her gym. Oh, it was
wow, that's impressive though.
Broke a toe.
How do you keep on doing it with a broken toe? Because it's hard.
We taped it. And she said, most fitness girls, it was interesting. I really respect all girls who do fitness at amateur or IFBB level. Oh my gosh. Because you're typically doing that routine with something strained or broken at
Wow.
all times.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just it was really eye opening. Best experience of my life. Taught me so much. Um, and I went on to do that show, and I placed first in that show.
Of course, after all that sacrifice and everything,
So much
yes.
sacrifice, and I fell in love with fitness. And I did it because I wanted to see what it felt like. They have to train just like us. They have to diet just like us, and then they have to do that routine,
And
which is
have to
really, and you have
dance.
to be spirited, like you have to have energy with it. And I wanted to see what that felt like, and I learned what that felt like. So fast forward, finished all of that, and then started getting back into figure, and then women's physique came out in 2013. And so my coach said, oh my gosh, there's a space for you, let's try it. And I said, okay, let's try it. So started training for that. That was also North Carolina Victory Classic. I won that show. And I said I want to do one more before I go to a nationals. So I did one more, and then I went to nationals at North Americans.
North Americans, that's a
Yes,
very hard show
very
as
hard
well.
show. Very,
Yes.
very hard show. Honestly, I wasn't going to go to North Americans. I switched coaches midway, and the coach that I took on said, you're going to be ready. I want you to go. And I was like, I'm doubting. He said, too late. I already bought your ticket.
Okay, so you have to go.
I had to go. So he committed me. Went on to do North Americans and won my pro card at North Americans on a very, very difficult class because girls would come from Canada to do North Americans, and they were humongous.
Like everywhere.
They were. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's no way. And so when they called my name and number,
You were.
I was looking. I have to find the video. I kept looking down the lane, and they were looking, and they were like, "It's you," and I was like, ah. I almost like passed out, like on stage. And it was great because it was the first time that my youngest two children got to see me compete ever.
So that was
So
amazing.
yeah, I had family there, so it was really amazing to get my pro card at North Americans. And after that, I was like, okay, I think I'm done. The goal was just to get a pro card, and I've gotten it because at that stage of my competing, I was really dedicated to not having to touch any type of drugs at all.
So how did that, like, I know like drugs are not 100% of it, but like they make
do
a
enhance.
difference.
They make a huge difference. I mean, you can, when you look at my physique, even till this day, when you look at my physique on stage next to the other girls, you can clearly see the difference. It's like a clear difference, which I'm okay with. I think if I was if I had started this in my 20s, I'd have probably been sauced up like to the moon. Like, give it all, give whatever, whatever's gonna make me have striated glutes right now. Give it to me. But because I got started later, and I was already in a different mindset, my health. Right now, I've already gone to school, so I know all about biology of everything. I know all of the dietary of everything. So I had more knowledge, and I'm looking at these other women, and I'm like, this is a very dangerous game that they're playing. Like, and then watching some people die, not because of steroids, but because of diuretic misuse. Most people that do die in bodybuilding die from diuretic misuse or now insulin misuse, right? Yeah. So it's, can steroids kill you? But yes, but that creates maybe a longer term issue down the road when you age.
Yeah, no, like definitely, it's like a long thing to talk about, and right. It's very serious and very delicate.
Right, yeah, right.
But I like talking about everything because I think it's even better, and it gives you like double. They should have given you double trophy for that.
Well,
how did you do your training? What made you be different over there? Because definitely your conditioning, even though if you were enhanced, there had to be something on you that made you win.
So I think that I've got really good genetics. There's 100%. I'm a firm believer that I'm just blessed with really good genetics. And my work ethic is, I think, what makes the difference. So a lot of people actually get, aside from men, right? Because that's a whole different ballgame. But females, they're not willing to wait as long to grow the muscle. That's the problem, right? Because you're already getting into competing, and you're like, oh, these girls are already big. Well, I got to hurry up and get on it so I can get as big as them. And for me, I didn't care as much, right? Because like I didn't care about going to the Olympia. I didn't want to be on the cover of a magazine. My purpose for being in the sport was completely different from theirs. And so I was willing to take the time because I like working out for hours. I like, the seeing the slow progress because that's the progress that's going to stick, right?
Yes.
For me, what I know about that taking super supplements, as I like to call them, when you come off of them, you don't look super anymore. You just look pretty average.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, as soon as you come off, it gives you maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you look not good. And for me, I thought to myself, if I'm going to put all this time in the gym and train every day, just like they are, to just now stop taking something and I look bad in 3 weeks, well, what good? All that time I wasted. So
That's a correct mindset.
yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
you're doing it for your
for
health.
my health, for
Yes.
longevity. I like that any time of the year, I look good. That's how I like it because I've put in the time, and I was okay just saying, okay, if this takes me 5-10 years to get to this point to where they look, I'm okay with that.
I have those years.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, if I'm blessed with them and have them, because the thing is, I look at most of the women I started competing with back in 2009 don't even compete anymore at all.
And now I bet they're like facing health
issues. I know because I work with a lot of them.
Psychological
issues, not being able to even have children because they've made themselves sterile. So now they're in the age bracket, that 40 age bracket where they want to have all these things they don't have, like their health,
Of course.
And here it is, I'm 10 years plus their age, and I'm still doing open and IFBB. Yeah.
And you look great the whole year, which that's super important. And plus, doing bodybuilding didn't stop you there. You said, okay, I want to be a hybrid athlete. So you started doing triathlon. How did that start? How did that go?
So COVID time came, right? The dreaded COVID for all of us.
Lovely COVID.
I know, lovely COVID. And of course, there were not very many shows, although I did compete in 2020. There was one show that went on before it all got shut down. But I said, I watched a video. This guy named Mark Allen. He's like the greatest of all time triathlete, Kona winner, Ironman winner. And I watched one of his races that he did in 1995, just on YouTube, right? Because everybody was watching YouTube of everything. And he was 13 minutes down in the race. That's a lot of time to try to catch up to someone else who's in first.
Yes.
13 minutes is a lot.
It is.
And so, and for those of you who don't know, an Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim in the ocean, a 112-mile bike, and a 26.2 mile run, full marathon. So like 44 Ks, the whole race is 180, right? So anyway, I'm watching him race, and he methodically, in the heat of Hawaii in Kona, tick off time from the leader to win that race. And it made the hair on my arm stand up. And I was emotional. Don't know this man. It gave me like emotion to just watch this whole thing. And I'm a very emotion driven person. And at the end of it, I said, I want to know what that felt like. I want that feeling right there. I want to go through that whole process, and I want to cross that line, and I want to feel it. So I called my coach and I said, hey, I'm going to start doing a training for an Ironman. And he said, no, you cannot do that because you're going to ruin your physique. Endurance athletes and bodybuilders cannot mix. And I said, why? He goes, you just don't do endurance with bodybuilding. And so I said, okay. And I hung up and I said, that's BS. Because at that time, for me to get ready for a show, I have to have a 20-week prep, bare minimum, because I like slow and better. But I have to do almost 3.5 hours of cardio.
Of course, you are getting your heart rate high.
Yeah. So to get that lean, I've got to do a lot of cardio. And I'm like, we're already doing endurance. Like, every bodybuilder does endurance. We're always doing cardio for preps, right? So I said, the difference is nutritional. We keep cutting calories as bodybuilders and adding cardio to get more lean, but I knew I'd have to take the calories up to be able to keep my muscle
and resist
and do all the rest. So I said, I'm going to do an experiment to see if it can be done. At that time, no women, and still to this day, no women have been able to cross from bodybuilding into Ironman. It does not exist. I'm the only one who's done it. There have been a couple guys who've tried to do it, not pros, but like guys who go to the gym and body and lift weights that have done,
okay,
but no,
it's not the same.
Not the same, no pros. So, started training for it, and then I said, okay, I'm going to compete first, 2021, and then I really said, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs in a basket and just do a lot of weight training, a lot of Ironman training, and a lot of food. And then I did my first Ironman. And
by yourself, like no coach, no nothing?
No, I didn't coach. I did self-coaching the whole thing.
Wow.
So I got ready for not only the Ironman, but for the Toronto Pro as well, because I wanted to show you got to be able to do the competition of both.
Yes.
So I placed third at Toronto Pro that year,
which is a great placing. Yes.
Right. And then I finished my first full Ironman in 14 hours and 35 minutes. Not my best time, but it was a time.
No, to be like self-coach, doing it by the first time,
right.
Of course, that was great.
Right.
And you proved everyone wrong.
I proved everyone wrong. So that's kind of how it started. And then it became a thing of, well, I'm going to eventually retire from bodybuilding. I won't stop bodybuilding because I love lifting weights, right? And it's made me a better triathlete. I am so much stronger on the bike and the run than my counterparts who just kind of swim, bike, run, because they don't have much musculature to help them, right? So I've noticed a huge difference. And yes, in the beginning, the training's hard because you're heavy, right?
Yes.
You're very heavy. But once I kept moving through it and my body adapted, no problem. So I love doing it. So now it's something that I'm, wanting to do as soon as when I'm finished with the stage. So I think I might do the stage 1, maybe 2 more years, and then I'm done.
So what are the projects for short-term future? What are you cooking here? Because I see you're into something.
Yeah, so
tell us.
I know, right?
We need to know.
Short term, I think I want to compete this year, maybe Romania. It's a show that's at the end of the year. I like doing that show. I've done that show several times in the past. I've placed top 5, each time I've done it. So I love that show. And then I've got Ironman North Carolina in Wilmington in October coming up, and that's my sporting projects. But I have a business project that I'm working on.
Do you want to tell us?
I will tell. I am throwing the first all-women's bodybuilding show in Dubai.
That's amazing. That's huge.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm slated for February.
Congratulations.
Thank you. February. I just booked my venue's all booked. I'm working on the marketing now. But there's a catch. It's not IFBB. It's not NPC. Anybody can come to it, and I'm offering prize money.
Wow, that's even better. So are you going to start something here, like in the USA? Is there
no,
a project?
I think I'm good. No, I don't want to do it in the USA because it's so saturated with NPC, IFBB, and it's really hard to compete with that because for some women, for some reason, people seem to think it's very ideal and it's like the creme de la creme. And I guess technically it is of the sport, but what I'm trying to do that makes my project a little bit different is for the women, there's not a lot of money in the sport.
True.
But I'm trying to create some money in the sport because I see physiques that are amazing that are not pros, right? And
yes.
they will never get a chance because it's so political in NPC, IFBB too. There's a lot of palm greasing going on as well. Like, oh, my girl is competing, so we have to do it. A lot of that does really happen. It's very political. That's factual. It does happen. For my show, I want it to be, it's in that region because it's a very beautiful, different region.
Of course.
People want to come and visit all the time. It's not as expensive as people think to visit. But I want to open the door for different contracts for the women. We wear makeup, our hair, perfume, different clothing. Like it frustrates me. Nails, right.
Yeah.
So I want to try to open up different contracts for us so that there's more ways to make money besides doing OnlyFans. If you have an OnlyFans, that's fine. I get it. But I mean, that's a horrible way to only have to make money by way of our sport, right?
Yes.
So, and then I also want to have a segment where there's going to be the next day is a seminar. There are people speaking on how to grow your social media, how to reach out to companies for contracts, but also financial management, right? So how to take your money and put it into things to grow your money, no matter even if you're doing OnlyFans. Okay, great.
You have to know how to make
What
it.
are you
Yeah.
right? What are you doing with the money that you're making? How are you so eventually you can retire from videoing whatever you're videoing, right?
Yeah, no. Oh my God, that's amazing, and
Yes.
that's very empowering.
Right.
And you can like literally start at any age.
Correct.
And you can go and first you get to know Dubai. Everyone wants to
Right.
be there.
Everyone wants to go to Dubai.
Exactly.
Right.
First,
Right.
you get that
right.
on your checklist, and second,
Exactly.
you have the chance to actually start a business. In
Yes.
there. So that makes it even better. That makes you a lot of more trips to Dubai or wherever you
or
wanna
wherever
go.
you want to go, right? Because you can
Exactly.
take that knowledge and use it anywhere, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't
So,
have to be
wow.
in that region. So that's what I'm really the aim and the goal is. And the name of my company is Empower Physique.
Empower Physique.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're empowering
Go and
women
search.
in the physique. And I eventually want to turn it into a show where I do it in Dubai, Qatar, Saudi, Kuwait. So I'm trying to make it in that region like a little
That's
thing
definitely gonna be
overall.
loud, and
Yeah.
and if and you're offering money, you're offering.
Yes.
So it's,
You don't have to be a pro. It's right.
But you know what? The most important is that you're teaching how. Like, doesn't matter where you're placing. Like, I would
Right.
go without thinking because you're teaching me how to eventually make money after.
Right.
That. So that
Right.
for me, that has like way more value. To
Right.
whatever
Right. Yeah,
you
'cause we
are.
go to a show here in the States or even anywhere, right? You're just going to compete, but you have a hard time even getting to talk to the judge just to get your feedback.
Yeah, no, it takes
Right?
a lot.
It
yes.
takes a lot. So all you've gotten was a bag of goodies of samples. That's great, but
You need to see what else
Right.
is coming. I love how you
Right.
saw the bigger picture.
it's a bigger picture,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Yeah.
I mean you're not staying there. It's beautiful
Correct.
to have. Like, I love all physiques, all bodies are amazing, but
Right.
if you get that plus and that mind on how to manage your
life and
with
right.
what you like,
Right.
that's even better.
And opening. So what I want to do a little bit differently with the show is I want to have the physique round. Of course, we have on our suits, but I also want to have like a fashion round, so that I think that there's a misconception that muscular women don't look good in nice clothes, right?
That's not true.
Because and it's not even in the fitness space with fitness clothing. If you go to a Lululemon, any of the major brands, you never see women with muscles.
That's true. You're right.
It's always kind of and no offense to the just regular body, but it's always just that standard body or someone now who's overweight because they're inclusive now, right? Which is
Yeah.
great. I think that's great too because I remember when I was heavy, there definitely were not workout clothes for us. Ooh, it was bad. So, but you don't. So you see the standard everyday woman, an overweight woman. There are no muscular women in fitness clothes. You don't see any muscular women in like a Lululemon.
You know, you're right, and like put those clothes to a muscular girl. She looks
Right.
stunning.
Right. Like
Yeah.
there's no. I was looking those for clothing, and I'm online or back then when it was magazines. Like I was like, I don't see myself in here, and when I say myself, I don't mean my color. I mean literally my physique style. I don't see it. I don't see myself in an evening gown, but when I put on an evening gown and go places, people are always like, "Oh, you
Staring at
look
you.
amazing," right? And I'm like, yeah.
Hey, no matter what you wear, I'll put you a potato bag. You'll look amazing right now. So
Potato bag.
still look great. We
Thank
have
you.
no discussion about it. Like, no matter what you'll be wearing, everyone would be staring
Like,
at
man,
you.
that's a great potato bag. I'm going to get me one.
Yeah, where do you get that? I want like 3 of those.
Right. So I want to open the door for that and
Wow, that's
and
great.
and have the ability to have different conversations. Also, there are so many women in our sport that are so intelligent, and I think that I get this all the time from men. They always want to ask me like, "Oh, tell me about your workout," and I'm like, "You do know that I'm highly educated and can talk about anything else besides what I'm working out. I mean, bicep curls are bicep curls. Is really no magic. It's really I just curl them up. I curl them up. I press it up. That's it. That's all that it is. Monday through Friday, Saturday a little bit. I mean, and I want them to be able to have an opportunity to have other discussions outside of just lifting weights, because I also think that the opposite sex that are not in the bodybuilding space think that women who train this much, that's all that they must know.
You're right. Like that's
Yeah.
like whenever wherever you go, they go, and that's the
Yes, that's the
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
They start off with, oh, you must work out a lot. Like, ugh, you think? And then they go in,
genetics.
right? Yeah. Then they go into, so tell me about your workout. And you're like, I really would not like to talk about this. I mean, it's because what are you going to do with this information?
Are you gonna steal my workout?
Right,
And
right.
start
You're trying to
look-
steal my workout. In that case, you need coaching. Here's my card.
Do you want to look like me? It costs.
Not giving this information away.
Oh God.
Like, what do you eat all day? It's crazy. So I want to empower women to really just kind of step out. And I'm also in that show, which is going to be very different. Is I'm having this show is for women by women. Period. Right. I do have a partner, and he's a man, but he's like
He's a woman. Once he's in the woman project, he becomes a woman.
He's out of the way. He's not. He's involved, but not involved. He's just really helping me within that region.
Okay. No.
But I'm also having a day. The day prior to the main show is for the Muslim woman.
Oh, how are you gonna manage?
So it's going. So when they're enclosed, like if they were home here, they have on like I go to the ladies' gyms there, all women's gyms. They're amazing. I was going to have a meeting with one of the owners. So I show up, I have on a hijab and an abaya, that's the dress, because I'm thinking I need to be covered. I get there, they're laughing at me, and I'm like, where's your clothing? They're like, you don't have to wear that here. It's only women here. And I was like, oh my God, thank God, because I'm burning up.
Started paying off.
Stuff off. Amazing physiques, amazing bodies in their gym, amazing, but they don't have anywhere to go to showcase it. So on that day prior to the main show, I want to have the hijab competition where it's only women judges, only women competitors, women photographers.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that at least
a great opportunity.
Yeah, so at least they have something to say, that they had their own competition amongst themselves, and they can have those photos for themselves. They can't show them, but that's fine. They don't care. But just so that they're still a woman, and I know that they still want
beautiful.
to be. They do, because when I'm in the gym, I mean, the booty was hanging out of the booty shorts. So I'm like,
I don't see this often.
I'm confused here. But they do want to be able to show their physique at some point. So I'm creating their own competition that they have just for them.
But that is like so thoughtful and so respectful, because like you're respecting their religion,
their culture, yes,
but you're giving them as well the opportunity
to feel like they can compete with others.
Yes,
I want them to be able to have that opportunity as well.
Wow, I think that's even a bigger picture of everything. I think everyone's gonna be like so grateful you're doing this.
I'm hoping so.
I'm excited already.
Thank you. Yeah. So 2025 February, between either February and April, that's when that's gonna happen.
Oh my God, that's gonna be like
I'm
up here.
Yeah, I'm like,
we're gonna stay tuned.
We're gonna tell
for that. Yes, we're gonna see all of this happening.
Social media pages and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. We gotta start following.
Yes, all the it's open to everyone from everywhere.
That's amazing. Yeah. So where can we follow all of this?
So I'm going to put up the socials actually at the end of next week. So I'll send them to you so you can put that up. But anyone can also reach out to me on my social page. My Instagram is Maria_C_Carson_. That's my maiden name.
Okay, we're going to write
that down. But you can reach out to me that way. And then I also have my podcast that I do every week, the Do It Anyway with Maria Redmond podcast. It's on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple.
Okay, so definitely we're going to reach out there as
well. But there'll be information that'll make sure I get to you, and they'll be posting up flyers and all that good stuff.
And I'm here to support and all excited to see what's coming.
Yes.
So one last thing before we finish, what is your recommendation to all that women that are starting their journey? And as we all know, when we're starting something, we're like not confident, we're scared. There's those voices in our heads that are telling us that we cannot do it. What is your recommendation for all that process for starting, which is the hardest one?
Yes, you're so right. The hardest part of the whole journey, honestly, is the starting. I love to tell all of my women to really sit down and be 100% like deeply honest with yourself. And I like journaling. I'm big on journaling because there's something amazing about writing it and then rereading it. And I like to read it out loud because there's also something really strong in hearing what your own thoughts, right? Because our thoughts are quiet when you write them. It's still quiet. You think them quiet, you write them quiet. But reading them out loud, what you've written from your mind is like, wow.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
It's a game changer. So start with being really honest about yourself and then being really honest about the goal. So like if you there's a meme right now on social media that goes, it's a lady who's a Christian and she's talking to her trainer and he asks her, what are your goals? And she says, I want the mind of God, but I want the body of a whore.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
She goes, I want to be Christ-like inside, but I want to look like a stripper.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
it's really funny.
It is.
But honestly, I listened to that several times and I giggled, of course, but then I really listened. And you know what? That was her truth. She wants people to still know that she's a respectful, godly woman, but she wants her body to look really good. So I'm saying that to say this to you all. Whatever your real goal is, write that down. And why do you want? Who cares if it's because for vanity? For me, it was about my kids at first. And then I started getting results, and then it started to become about me, right?
Yes.
It changed, and it will change all the time. Your why will change all the time, but start with that. Why do you want this? And then, this is my why. What would be my holdups? What, those things in your mind, like what am I afraid of? Right? Write all those things down. If you're lazy, be honest and say, I might not make this goal because I'm lazy. So how can we figure out how to not get you to be lazy? Maybe you're one of those people who need a trainer because you're too lazy to do it by yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's valid.
Right.
That happens to everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people stick to it when they have a trainer,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So writing down like all your strengths and all your weaknesses and then find a way to work on the weaknesses is going to be key. And you're still going to have the high weeks where you feel great. And then you can go from feeling just so amazing to feeling like dog poop the next day. Because why? You stepped on the scale and it wasn't the number you thought you were going to see. Right?
Yeah, no, and it's a disappointing.
It's a disappointment. Right.
Yeah,
right.
it happens. It comes those bad voices that, oh my God, I put all the work, I did that.
Right. And so this is where I want to tell you that those numbers on the scale really don't mean a lot, right? Because your body does a whole bunch of different things that the scale can never tell you.
Yeah, no,
you might need
absolutely.
to go poo. I mean, it might be hot outside and you're retaining water. There's all kinds of reasons. So don't get hung up on those things, but try to push yourself out of that negative space and focus on all the positive. Okay, the scale doesn't say the number I wanted, but I stuck to my nutrition plan this week and I made all my workouts and cardio this week, and celebrate the wins. Don't focus on the negative.
And that's rewarding because you did what you had to do.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that's like bigger satisfaction than seeing what the scale actually is showing.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. And revisit that every 3 months. I think that's another problem. We don't revisit the goal sometimes ever.
Yeah, no, we started.
Right.
We just keep on running.
We keep on running. Even when you get to the stage, your goal was to get to the stage. No one still takes time to reflect and say, "Hey, I've made it." We always move on to the next thing. Oh, next show, or I need to fix this. We go right back into a negative mode instead of saying, for me, I was like, wow, I made it to the stage. I'm standing on stage competing in this 2-piece with heels on. I never thought I would even. I'm a tomboy, right? So for me, all of it was a lot. I was like, wow, makeup, this is great. Like, I look amazing.
My hooker shoes.
I got my hooker shoes on. Yeah. Make a little cash on the side if I need to. I'm in shape now. I can make a lunch of change.
Exactly.
So I tease my kids and tell them that all the time. If I get broke, mom's in shape. Put those shoes on.
We can definitely use them.
I'll hit the club. I don't even have to leave the house now. Just OnlyFans it, but
we'll make it.
We'll make it. We'll eat well. But revisiting your goal and checking off that you made it so that you can create a new goal. right?
Yeah, no, and that's very important because once you do it, you're right, you don't notice, you keep on going, and then you're not in the correct mindset
Right.
from where you started.
Right.
So,
You totally
yes,
forget about why you even started it to begin with.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
all of these tips were like amazing. Definitely, I had a great time with you,
Me
and I
too.
know everyone who's going to be watching this is going to be
Yes.
like
Yes.
learning a lot.
Learning.
And this,
Absolutely.
like, this was whole motivation to listen to you.
Thank
And
you.
of course, like, I'm gonna be trying to capture you every time
Every time. I don't mind.
so we can
Yes.
be like knowing how's the progress on that show
Yes.
in February.
Yes.
How's that going? And of course, to get pick a little bit more of your brain so we can
Absolutely.
keep on being
Yeah,
motivated.
keep yes. And let's talk about motivation real quick before we go. You won't always be motivated. It goes, it comes, it goes, it comes, it goes. Just focus on being consistent.
Yes.
That's the key. That's the key to longevity in all of it. Just checking the box instead of looking for motivation, because some days I don't want to be there. And I love it. And some days I walk in and I'm like, I don't want to be here. But you know what? I've already made it here, which was the hard part. So I'm going to go do something now.
So now that we're not done yet,
Yeah.
In one of your podcasts, you talk about your rule of 25
seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
So tell us that. We need to know that.
So, yes, the 5-second rule. Mel Robinson, she's a woman that's in entertainment. I heard this briefly in a talk she was doing. And she was talking about when you get stuck. You know, those days you come home, you sit down on the couch, you're like, oh,
I'm fine. I'm happy
yeah,
here.
I need to, I know I need to get up. I know I need to get up. And then 20 minutes later, you still aren't up. And now we're on the phone. We're doing the scrolling. And you're in your mind, though, is saying you need to get up. I immediately say, I need 5 seconds. So the 5-second rule is, the rules are when you get to 5 or count down, whichever way, either direction you want to go, the rule is you have to get up. You have to get up and move away. So I sit down and say, okay, it's 5-second rule time because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I count to 5 and then I get up, and that usually distracts me from what I was not doing at all. So I utilize the 5-second rule with everything that I do when I feel like I'm stuck.
So yeah, now we know that 5-second rule.
5-second rule.
We're gonna do it when we're like procrastinated.
Yes.
So to get
it gets you moving. Yeah. Right. 100%. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm having you again. Like,
yes,
that's for
I'll
sure.
Come back again.
I'll be more than happy again. Thank you so much. It was
You're
a pleasure.
Welcome. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.